everyone, my name is Kayla. Welcome back for another week of Monster Munchies. So if you didn't guess already, the theme this week is Ireland. I'm going to be making a little bit of a twist on a classic. I'm doing an Irish brown bread, but instead of just doing a quick soda bread, I am doing a yeasted bread. But this is a really easy yeasted bread. It requires no kneading, and it's pretty quick and simple. So let's give it a shot. So the ingredients for this recipe, you're going to need 400 grams of whole wheat flour. I'm using just regular plain old whole wheat flour. If you want to get really authentic, you can get an Irish whole wheat flour, which is a little bit of a coarser grind. You're going to need 50 grams of white flour. You can use all-purpose or bread flour. I'm using all-purpose. 1 packet of active dry yeast. A teaspoon of salt. A tablespoon of molasses. And then you're going to need some water. I have it divided up into 2. You're going to need 150 milliliters of water, and then later on you're going to need 275 more milliliters of water. So let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is get my yeast ready to go. So I'm going to take my bowl with 150 milliliters of water, and I'm going to add a tablespoon of molasses to that. You know, people always say molasses is slow, but this stuff pours pretty fast. I guess this is the slow part. Stop dripping. And then I'm gonna kind of mix that in so it's evenly incorporated. So once my molasses is dissolved in my warm water, I'm going to put my packet of yeast in there as well and let it sit for 5 to 10 minutes until it's nice and bubbly and active. Wake up my yeasties. And then at some point during this whole process, I'm going to make sure that Oswald is preheated to 450 degrees. And one last thing while I'm waiting for my yeast to get nice and bubbly and active, I'm going to mix my white and whole wheat flours together along with the salt. And once you're all prepped, you can kick back and relax until your yeast is nice and bubbly. So once your yeast is looking nice and happy and bubbly, you're going to add your yeast and water mixture to the flour mixture, as well as the rest of your water. I'm just going to use that to rinse out my yeast bowl so nothing gets left behind. And then just mix it until it's all incorporated. You have a shaggy, wet dough. And once it gets hard to mix with a spoon, you continue to try to mix with a spoon. You can do that, or you can go in and get a little dirty to finish it off. And once it looks like that is mixed together pretty well, I'm going to set it off to the side and let it sit for 10 minutes. And at some point while you're waiting for that to rise, go ahead and take a loaf pan, grease it up, and line the bottom with parchment paper. So now that my dough has had a little bit of time to sit, I'm going to put it into my loaf pan. Come on. And then I'm just gonna gently smooth it out so that it fills the entire pan. And then I'm gonna cover it with a damp tea towel. Whoops. Don't want to turn the stove on. And just let it hang out in a warm spot for about 20 minutes or until it rises up to the lip of the pan. So once my bread has risen up to the top of my pan, I'm going to put it in a 450-degree oven for 20 minutes. So after your bread has baked at 450 for 20 minutes, I'm going to take it out of the oven. I'm gonna drop my temperature down to 400. And then I'm going to turn the bread out of the pan. Ooh, that slid right out. Take off the paper and put the bread back in the oven directly on the rack upside down for another 15 minutes at 400. So now that the bread's cooked for another 15 minutes, I'm gonna take it out of the oven. And I'm gonna let it hang out on a wire rack until it's completely cool before I cut it. So now the bread's had a couple hours to cool off, I'm gonna cut into it. Definitely has a good crust on it. Wow. Smells awesome. So there it is, all cut up. It's pretty good looking for a no-knead bread. And I have it plated up here with some butter and some marmalade. Let's give this a taste. This is a really tasty bread. Baking it outside of the pan gives it a really good crust. And the inside is really tender. It has a little bit of sweetness from the molasses. Definitely a great bread for any breakfast. It'll probably make a pretty decent sandwich bread as well. But I recommend giving it a shot. Hey there, lazy pants. Yeah, I know. It's been a hard day. What do you think of this? This is bread. Well, someone wants to lick the butter off my fingers, but I don't think he's too interested in the bread. Oh well, we'll try again next time. Thanks for watching, everyone, and tune in next week for another episode of Monster Munchies. Bye! You sure you don't want any? You sure? No? Okay. See you later.